All right, John and Ken show. We got a lot going on today, beginning with Jerry Brown's budget message. You know what happened? They had to actually release the budget days early because it was accidentally posted online.
So, yeah.
It was apparently a tech glitch. That's what they're saying. So they rolled out this news conference at 2:30 for the governor to get right to work on explaining his budget. It's supposed to come out, I think, 5 days from now or something.
Some bozo in his office put it online. It's not a tech glitch. The things don't accidentally go online. That doesn't happen. Somebody put it online, and they didn't know they weren't supposed to do that.
Well, maybe somebody was just reviewing it with fat fingers, pressed the post button. And
No, there's a series of steps you have to take to post something online.
Yeah.
You can't do it with just one key.
All right. Well, of course, the first thing he wants to know is that a year ago it was a $26 billion deficit, but now it's a $9.2 billion. First of all, how many times have we talked about this? And by the way, this is the beginnings of Tax Revolt 2012. The fight is on now as we play some of the sound of Jerry Brown today. But remember that a budget is phony. It is nothing but a piece of paper. And we found out from last year's budget and all the Schwarzenegger budgets and the Gray Davis budgets, they don't mean anything because they're often full of lies.
And if he really cut it from $26 billion to $9 billion, the deficit, he did it without any new taxes.
Good point.
He cut $17 billion out of the deficit with no new taxes. And we were told the opposite last year, that there was going to be fiscal Armageddon.
If he didn't get his taxes.
If he didn't get his tax increases.
He wanted the taxes extended, remember?
Now, they made these cuts. And really, life didn't change here in California for nearly everyone.
And the DMVs are still open on Fridays.
Are they?
Yeah, they are. I think that's over.
It's the only thing we have to prevent is the DMV from closing on Friday. Because then Robert Kovacic is going to be back at the DMV.
No, I think that's
and he's
done.
going to be
I can't say from first experience. I don't go there, but I haven't seen any stories of them being closed.
You go there once every 5 years.
If that.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, right. Once every 10 years, because I think you can renew it automatically after 5.
Yeah, I did that.
All this nonsense about a place you go to once a decade, get out. Hey,
but you're right. The state didn't fall apart, and they didn't get their tax extensions, and the deficit's down to $9 billion.
Right. And
I mean, some of that may be a slightly recovering economy. It's not clear.
And if you're saying, well, wait, John and Ken, the college tuitions have gone up. Yeah, the college tuitions have gone up because there are more administrators in the UC system than there are professors. Because you have vice chancellors of gender and diversity awareness who are sucking up six-figure salaries. That's why your tuition goes up. Not because there isn't enough tax money. There's plenty of tax money. But they spend it on nonsense.
Nonsense.
Nonsense, I say.
So basically the message he's giving today is that you have to pass my tax increases in November or it'll once again be Armageddon. Let's play a clip of Jerry Brown. This is apparently a back and forth with reporters with some questions about voting for these tax increases. And just so in case you forgot, he wants to raise the sales tax on all of us and the income taxes on those making more than $250K a year. Let's listen in.
Number 4.
We're in a box in the state of California. We have more needs, desires, and demands than the money available. So we have to now reduce needs, reduce demands, reduce desires. Some of that will be cuts. Some of that will be borrowings. Some of that will be one-time measures. And some of that will be taxes. It's a balance. This, based on my experience, is the best I can put together.
So with the pain, do you expect the public to embrace your tax initiative even more?
Well, I hope they will, because this is all we can do. I mean, if there's a better way to do it, I'm totally open to it. If members of the public can show me a better path,
Sir, over here,
fine.
Sir.
But after having looked at all the numbers,
Mr. Baldy,
these are
over
the
here.
trigger cuts. These are the cuts in the budget I'm proposing, and these are the taxes.
Jerry Brown,
That's
you're a stinking liar.
I can't figure out a better way. And I have to tell you, there are not a lot of people around here who spend as much time thinking about government cuts and taxes than I have.
Oh, BS.
I'm not trying to
you know what? You just
I'm
launched
saying
a
this is
steamer
the best
there,
I
sir.
can do.
Yeah, you're just full of it. You're just an absolute liar. I don't know how to say this, Eddie. I mean, I can't stand it anymore. You're a freaking liar. You're spending 3 times as much on the prison system as other states are. 3 times as much. Period. End of story. You can cut $6 billion right out of the prison system.
He wouldn't allow you to ask a question at that news conference. You still have a cell phone number. Why don't you call him up and tell him what we should do?
You know, I do have, yes,
I think
do.
you
On
still
my desk
do.
at home, I do have his cell phone number.
From the election,
you know,
right.
Because he's so full of crap. Nobody stands up and says, hey, how come we spend $50,000 on a prisoner every year and Texas spends $20,000? None of those dumb cluck reporters ever say the obvious. Hey, how come we have 36% of the welfare cases in the nation with 12% of the population? How'd that happen? Why do we have vice chancellors of diversity? Why do we have Chicano studies programs? Why do we have any of this? Why do we have the largest collection of illegal aliens known to man? Why do we indulge with the illegal aliens? Why are we giving them college education grants? Huh? If we're so short of money. F and you. I mean, he is such a stinking liar, and all these bearded, balding reporters stand there with their mouths open, drool, dripping off their chin, go,
like George Skelton?
Yeah, exactly, like George Skelton.
From the LA Times. This is all we can do.
You know what? And if you vote for taxes on anybody, you're a moron. A gold-plated, 5-star, 24-carat moron. You don't raise taxes on anybody. I don't care if it's a smoker, a drinker, a hobo, a rich guy. Nobody should have their taxes raised because our taxes are incredibly high, and they waste a lot of money on all the things I just listed.
Well, here's my official response to you, Mr. Cobell, Jerry Brown. I'm going to go do push-ups. When we come back, we'll play more.
See how buff I am?
Of Jerry Brown droppings at his news conference today, introducing his budget. And again, the main message is, give me the taxes or it'll be the end of the world.
This is an easy job to do. You want to stand up there and lie for 10 minutes when you know no one's going to challenge you. That's great. He can say anything, and the reporters go, oh, okay, Mr. Brown. What a bunch of dumb clucks.
1-800-520-1534. Tax Revolt 2012 is officially on.
We're ready. John and Ken, KFI, AM 640. More stimulating talk radio. John and Ken Show continues. John Cobell and Ken Shampoo.
All right, Jerry Brown spoke out. His budget, at least from his office, has been released. It will be many months from now, as you know, before a budget is passed. And remember, it's just a piece of paper. It's often full of lies. But anyway, the main message here is you've got to pass those taxes in November, or I'm going to have to make more dire cuts. He's saying that the budget deficit through June of 2013 is $9.2 billion, which you're talking a year and a half from now. Really? Is that number really worth anything?
It's just a
it's something to work off of. That's what they do.
They make up all the numbers. They do. They make up their revenue projections. They make up their spending projections. The deficit number constantly changes. All you need to remember is you're paying some of the highest taxes, a lot of the highest taxes in the nation. That's all you have to know. And they misspend wildly on lots of things.
Yeah, and I'm very suspicious because the last time we got actual numbers, they were $2 billion over budget in spending and $1 billion short of the budget in revenue. When I saw that, I was like, oh, really? How fiscally prudent. You're $2 billion of your own budget in spending.
Yeah.
Nice start to the year. So it's a $7 billion tax increase he's asking for, raising taxes on sales and income, starting with single filers earning $250,000 a year. And you look at the number, $9.2 billion deficit, and you want $7 billion from taxes? Get out of here. Get off the stage.
Get the hook.
That doesn't seem like sharing the sacrifice.
No, it's not balanced. It's never balanced. Again, part of the balance is our very high tax rates. He never addresses that. Nobody does. We're the only ones who tell you. Part of the balance is, okay, what are the tax rates relative to every other state in the nation? Well, look at this. In this category, California is number one, number two, number three, number one. We're at or near the top in almost every category. Even in property taxes, when you look at the amount of revenue per house that comes in, it's really high because we have the most expensive real estate in the nation. So what they do is they just every one of them stands up, lies like crazy, reporters write the lies down, and it becomes conventional wisdom. Well, the conventional wisdom is utterly, completely false. And we've gone through 100 different ways that they could save large amounts of money. But we haven't even talked about the pensions, the big fat pensions and the health care and the excess number of government employees. This is, again, you have a union totalitarian system here, not a democracy. If you walk around thinking you're living in a democracy in California, you're a bozo. It's not. Every shot is called by a collection of union heads who fund and bribe and own virtually every politician in the state. Period. End of story. Now let's play some more of these clips. All right, this is Jerry Brown, the first clip, number one.
We were going to have a deficit in a couple of years of $21 billion. And then this year would have had almost $20 billion again. So we've done a lot of cutting. That's the big thing, the big takeaway from this. We've got the structural deficit down. Now, it just so happens that if we don't do anything, we'll have a budget this year deficit of 9.2. That's a function of we didn't get the Medi-Cal cuts. There's some revenue disappointments, so it's a little bigger, but those are all unexpected things.
No. See, that right there is a lie. The revenue disappointments, because they made up revenue numbers. They knew the economy was going to be in the crapper all year. It was. They just made up a number, saying, it can't be expected. Yes, it was expected. We told you as soon as those documents were published last June that this is a BS budget with phony revenue numbers. But again, he lies and nobody challenges him.
It's all guesswork. All right, let's play clip number 2.
With the tax program, we will eliminate the budget deficit, finally, after years of kicking the can down the road, and we'll begin to pay back the wall of debt. And that's one thing I'm really committed to. We see what's going on in Europe. We see the pathetic fiscal state of Greece, and there's no doubt it is possible for a government to dig such a hole that you can't climb out without social turmoil and even breakdown. So that's why I'm going to push very hard to take the money that we're going to receive this year and also the tax measure and eliminate our deficit and then pay down the wall of debt so that we're much solider fiscal shape.
There are so many things wrong in that short statement. We'll begin with the fact that we were given this plate of turds 2 years ago when they raised our tax. Remember Tax Revolt 2009 when Schwarzenegger was still here and they raised taxes and we all went ballistic? What were we promised then, John? This will finally end the deficits for California. We can finally move forward and do something about the wall of debt. We were told that. Well, 2 years later, we got the taxes to expire. We still got a deficit. And this comparison to Greece, I read a really good column that a listener sent to me by a guy who doesn't live in California, and he was commenting on one of the initiatives we may vote on November to raise taxes on the wealthy, the one with the Kardashians in it. They could raise taxes by 3 to 5% on, quote, the wealthy. He said, I hope California does all this. I hope California goes completely down the drain. The Democrats are in charge, and California looks like Greece, and the rest of the country will know we don't want to do what they do.
Yeah, we could be a great lesson to the rest of the nation. It's the worst run government, period. In all the democracies around the world, except for Greece, this is the worst run government. And
here's an answer. Don't raise any taxes. Live within your means. If the economy comes back, actually what I'd like you to do is put money away for a rainy day. But you can spend it. But if it doesn't, you've got to live within your means. Whatever we take in, that's what you can spend. No more. Stop raising taxes. As John pointed out 1 billion times before on the show, we've got the highest tax rates in the country already. No more.
Yeah. Don't give the prison guards a sweetheart deal where they get paid to walk from their car to their post. You start with stuff like that.
Banking overtime and vacation pay for big checks when they leave at their higher pay rates. Get out of here. That has to end. We haven't even talked about the pensions because that's actually separate from the budget.
Oh, no, the pensions are going to be an increasing part of the budget because every year they have to make a contribution.
Fund it, right?
Yeah, and the contribution they have to make this year is astronomically higher than what they had to pay 10 years ago. You know, and in Greece, by the way, they're laying off thousands and thousands of government workers who got laid off. I even read, believe it or not, that under the Obama administration, they have 183,000 fewer government employees. I know it's hard to believe, but that's what was in the news story today. Well, who's been laid off? The California state government level.
And are you sure, though, that's from layoffs or that's just people retiring or quitting and they don't replace them? That's usually what they do in government. That's what Tony Villar's trick was.
I'm going to check in the next I couldn't read the whole story.
Yeah.
So I'm going to check in the next break and see what that's about.
But at least that's something. If you don't replace them, government isn't growing anyway.
That's right, yeah. At least it's not an increase in hiring, it appears.
Which shows you how needed they were. All right, also, when we come back, we'll have more on this at 5 o'clock, too, in our traditional, old Tax Revolt hour, and that's coming back at some point, Tax Revolt 2012. We got some more information on the arsonist, Harry Burkhart, the German.